barren woman falls to her knees, her tears soaking the ground beneath her. An old priest mistakes her silent prayers for drunkenness. A nation is drowning in corruption. The voice of God has gone silent. And in the middle of all that darkness, a child is born, a child who would hear the voice that no one else could hear, a child who would confront kings without fear, a child who would shape the future of Israel with nothing but faith and obedience. This is the incredible story of Samuel. There was a time in Israel's history when the people had almost forgotten God. The priests who were meant to lead the nation had become greedy and corrupt. Violence and wickedness spread across the land, and the Bible tells us that in those days, the word of the Lord was rare. Heaven was silent, but while an entire nation was drifting away from God, one woman was fighting a battle no one could see. Her name was Hannah. Year after year, she carried the unbearable pain of being unable to have children. In her culture, that heartbreak came with shame, ridicule, and endless whispers from those around her. But instead of turning away from God, she ran toward him. One day, broken and exhausted, Hannah entered the tabernacle. She didn't pray with loud words or dramatic speeches. She simply stood there, weeping, moving her lips in silence as tears rolled down her face. She made a promise that would change history forever. Lord Almighty, if you give me a son, I will give him back to you for all the days of his life. The old priest, Eli, saw her from a distance and thought she had been drinking. But when he realized she was pouring out her soul before God, he blessed her, and God answered. Soon, Hannah held a baby boy in her arms. She named him Samuel, meaning, because I asked the Lord for him. But the most remarkable part of the story was still to come. When Samuel was old enough, Hannah did something almost unimaginable. Keeping her promise, she took the child she had prayed for and left him in the house of God. Can you imagine that moment? A mother kissing her little boy goodbye, trusting that the God who gave him to her would also watch over him. As Samuel grew under Eli's care, the darkness in Israel only deepened. Eli's own sons, who served as priests, abused their power and dishonored God. Judgment was coming, but no one expected the message to come through a child. Then one night, while the lamps of the tabernacle still burned, Samuel lay sleeping. Suddenly, a voice broke the silence. Samuel! The boy sprang to his feet and ran to Eli. Here I am. You called me. But Eli looked at him with confusion. I didn't call you. Go back and lie down. Again the voice came. Samuel! Again he ran. The third time the same thing happened. And then Eli realized something terrifying and wonderful. The Lord himself was calling the boy. He told Samuel, if you hear the voice again, say, Speak, Lord, for your servant is listening. The room fell silent once more. Then the voice returned. Samuel! And with the innocence of a child and the courage of a prophet, he answered, Speak, Lord, for your servant is listening. That night changed everything. God gave Samuel a message of judgment against Eli's own household. A message so heavy that the young boy was afraid to repeat it. But he did. He spoke the truth no matter the cost. And from that day forward, the Bible says that the Lord was with Samuel, and not one of his words fell to the ground. All Israel recognized that a prophet had risen among them. Years passed, and Samuel became the spiritual leader of the nation. He called the people back to God when they had lost their way. He led them in prayer, judged their disputes, and stood as a fearless voice in an age of compromise. Then came the day that changed Israel forever. The people demanded a king. Samuel warned them. He told them that earthly kings would fail them, burden them, and disappoint them. But the people refused to listen. They wanted to be like every other nation. So, by God's command, Samuel anointed a tall and powerful man named Saul as Israel's first king. But Saul's pride eventually destroyed him. He disobeyed God, and the kingdom was torn from his hands. Samuel was heartbroken. He had watched Saul rise, and now he watched him fall. Then God spoke again. Fill your horn with oil and go to Bethlehem. I have chosen a king. Samuel arrived at the house of Jesse. One by one, Jesse's strong and impressive sons stood before him. Each looked like the perfect choice, but God whispered words that would echo through history. Do not look at his appearance or his height, for man looks at the outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart. There was only one son left, a young shepherd boy, forgotten in the fields. His name was David. The moment Samuel saw him, God said, "Rise and anoint him. This is the one." And there, in the presence of his family, Samuel poured oil over the head of a shepherd who would one day become Israel's greatest king. From a child born through a mother's tears, to the prophet who anointed kings and spoke with God, Samuel's life is proof that heaven can change the world through one person who is willing to listen. Because sometimes, the loudest voices are not the ones that change history. Sometimes, it's the quiet voice in the darkness calling a child by his name.